This is a SnapEd New York video presentation.
Hello everyone, my name is Wendy Beckman and I'm a registered dietitian with the New York State Office for the Aging and SnapEd New York. Thanks for joining me today on What's Cooking with NYSOFA. Today I'm going to be making roasted Brussels sprouts and shallots. Brussels sprouts are considered a winter vegetable and are usually in season from late August through March, with peak season from October through December. We're going to post the link to the recipe below, and the recipe can also be found on the SnapEd New York website at www.snapedny.org. In New York State, Brussels sprouts are harvested September through November, so Brussels sprouts are in peak supply during the fall months. Often you can save yourself some money by purchasing fruits and vegetables that are in season, since the supply of those fruits and vegetables is best during peak harvesting. If you're able to buy fruits and vegetables locally from a farm stand or a farmer's market, you can sometimes find deals on locally grown produce. Locally grown items don't have to travel far to get to you, so that they're at the peak of freshness, and the farmer doesn't have to figure in the cost of transporting the produce into the price of the item. It's just another way to save some dollars when you're buying produce. Now, before I start putting this recipe together, let's look at the MyPlate graphic. This recipe covers the fruits and vegetables section of MyPlate. The Brussels sprouts and shallots are both vegetables. This recipe can help you to reach your goal of making half of your plate fruits and vegetables. Brussels sprouts are a great source of vitamin K, vitamin C, and folate. They're also a good source of fiber. Adding fruits and vegetables to your plate is a great way to make sure that you get enough fiber every day. Brussels sprouts are classified as cruciferous vegetables, just like broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower. These vegetables are full of antioxidants that can help decrease inflammation in the body and help protect against some cancers. When choosing what goes on your plate, make sure you vary your veggies by choosing different colors throughout the week. Each vegetable has a unique mixture of vitamins and minerals that they add to your diet, so varying those veggies can ensure that you get all of the vitamins and minerals that your body needs. Remember that everything you eat and drink over time matters. You want to find your healthy eating style and maintain it for a lifetime. The right mix can help you be healthier now and in the future. Eating more fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains is good for heart health, and it can help protect against some chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. Make sure you watch this video all the way to the end, because I'm going to let you know what we're going to be making in November, and you don't want to miss that. So let's get into making this recipe. Remember to wash your hands with soap for at least 20 seconds or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer before you start cooking. So let's look at the ingredients for this recipe. This recipe makes about 12 servings. Now, if you want to cut the recipe in half, you can do that, and that's what I've done here. And now I'm going to tell you what the recipe calls for, but keep in mind, when I'm showing you these ingredients, it's only half of what's called for in the recipe. So first, you're going to need about 24 small shallots. And I have some shallots right here. Shallots are related to onions, garlic, chives, and scallions, and you can use any of those vegetables as a substitute for shallots. Now, just keep in mind that if you get small shallots, you might need about 24 of them. The shallots that I found were actually pretty large, so I didn't need quite that many, about maybe 18 to 20 of them I needed for the whole recipe. Now, shallots tend to have a milder taste than onions and garlic, so if you want to use garlic in place of the shallots, you can do that, but you're going to want to use less garlic. Using a milder onion like red onion will also be closer in taste to a shallot. So let's look at these shallots first, and this one you can tell there's actually 2 of them in here. And this one is a smaller one. There's probably only 1 bulb in here. So I'm going to show you how to peel these and how to take the root end off. So first we're going to cut the top off of those. And you can see that I can do that there. And then you can see inside it looks a little bit like an onion. And we're going to peel some of that off. All of the outer shell, we're just going to peel that off. So let's do that with the shallot first. Get rid of those things. It really does take a little while. if you've ever peeled an onion before, you know that the struggle is real. Sometimes it's a little tough to get all of that outer shell off, but we don't want to cook any of that into our dish, so we're going to take all of that stuff off. Now, shallots, like I said, are related to onions and scallions and those types of things. They're all what's called the allium family. And those vegetables tend to be a little bit lighter in color, like onions are white. And then some people say, well, it's a white vegetable, so it doesn't have any health benefits, because people sort of associate those really brightly colored vegetables with some of the antioxidants and other compounds in the vegetables that are really good for you. But in reality, the white that's in these shallots and in onions, it's a pigment. It's a white pigment. So we often think of white as sort of the absence of pigment, but there's actually some really great antioxidants in this white part right here. So the recipe tells you to peel the shallots and to cut off the root end, which is this end here, but it tells you to leave the root intact. So I'm going to show you, you're going to still sort of cut off this sort of fuzzy part at the end where the roots came out of the vegetable. And then I'm going to cut this in half so you can see the inside of it. Going to make sure that you keep your fingers out of the way. And then on the inside, you can see that it's really this kind of very cool, it almost looks like a flower to me, but it looks a little like an onion, which is what it's related to, so that makes sense. So yeah, it's this really very pretty color on the outside, very pretty purple on the outside, and then on the inside it's this white, and it looks like an onion or a flower to me. So you're going to peel those shallots, and you're going to cut them in half or in quarters, depending on how big they are. So let's take this one. This one's pretty large. Cut the top off of it. And then we're going to take some of the outer shell off. I'm going to put some of that over here so that it's out of the way. So again, we're going to take some of these outer coverings off of the shallot, just like an onion. And it's really got sort of two parts to the inside. You can sort of see that it's a pretty big shallot. It's got almost two parts to it right there. So let's get rid of those things right there. Get that out of the way. And then this one, obviously, you would have to cut it up. So you can see how if you had a bunch of smaller shallots, you might need 24 of them. But with these large ones, you don't need that many. And I was actually pretty excited. I was able to find these shallots at my local farm store. They didn't have any in my grocery store, but I'm lucky I have a really nice farm store near me, and I was able to find them here. So let's cut this in half. I'm going to cut it in half, and then this one I'm actually going to cut into quarters. Cut that there. And you can see here that on this side, this is where the root end is. You can see that's still sort of intact, and this is the top part. So here you can see that this is going to sort of stay together a little bit better because the root end is intact, and that's why they tell you to do that in the recipe. So let's cut this one more time. All right. And I think I could cut these in half too. Probably a good idea. Okay. So those are looking pretty good. So we're going to have 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil right here, and it's divided into 2 portions. The recipe also calls for about 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts. Now, since I've cut the recipe in half, I only have about 1 pound here. You're going to want to look for the smallest Brussels sprouts that you can find. They tend to be a little bit more tender. And last, you need a tablespoon of salt. That's right here. And you can cut that amount in half or in a quarter if you don't want to have that much sodium in your recipe. So you can absolutely do that. So let's talk about the oven temperature. First, you want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. My oven is already on. It's been preheating. While the oven is heating, you can peel the shallots like I did right here. Like I said, you're going to leave the root end intact so that they hold together. And if you're using onions or scallions, then you just chop them up to a uniform size. Now, once everything is peeled on this side, you can place them on a large baking sheet lined with a piece of tin foil. And let me get my baking sheet behind me. So this is what that's going to look like. Going to have a piece of tin foil here, and then you're going to take your shallots and you're just going to put them right on that tin foil. You can use a baking dish, you can use a cookie sheet like I have here, you can use pretty much anything that they'll fit onto. And once you have them in the middle here, then you're going to sprinkle the olive oil on the top, just like this. We're going to do this. And obviously, if I had cut up more of the shallots, this would be a little bit more full. And then you can sprinkle a little bit of salt on top. Now, the recipe doesn't call for that, but I found that I'd like to have a little salt on mine. I actually put a little pepper on mine as well. So after you do that, you're going to crimp up the edges of the tin foil. You're going to make a little packet out of it. So you crimp up the top and then the ends too. And you're going to put that in the 375-degree oven on the baking sheet or in your baking pan and bake for about 45 minutes. Now, that's what the recipe said. I found I didn't really have to leave them in that long. So check on them, after about 25 or 30 minutes to see if they're done already. If they are, they're going to be nice and soft. Once they're baked, you can take them out of the oven and set them aside to cool. And you'll find out in just a minute why you want to let them cool a little bit. So I'm going to put this behind me again. Okay. So while those shallots are baking, you got to remove the outer leaves from the Brussels sprouts and trim the stems. And I'll show you how to do that right here. So I need my knife back. So this is a Brussels sprout. And like I said earlier, they're a cruciferous vegetable. They are related to broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and they smell like it also. The smell isn't that strong, but you definitely can tell that they're from that family. So you want to take these outer leaves off first. Sometimes they're a little damaged or they're a little dirty. You're going to rinse them first. I've already rinsed mine off. And then you're going to peel these outer leaves off. So this looks pretty good. There's a little, I'm going to take my knife and cut the little end off. Okay. There's a little damaged area here that I'm going to cut off too. Now this Brussels sprout is a little bit larger, so I'm actually going to cut this one into 3 pieces. You can cut it into quarters. I found that 3 pieces worked pretty well for me. 1, 2, 3. And then on the inside, you can see that they look a little bit like a little tiny cabbage, okay? And you're going to put them in your baking pan. And let's see. I could do that with one more of them. Let me get this stuff out of the way. I'm going to peel these leaves off again. Like I said, outer leaves. And the cruciferous vegetables are really full of antioxidants, and they're a really good source of fiber. So they're really great to include in your diet. Honestly, Brussels sprouts, I never think to get them or purchase them or put them in a recipe, but they're really delicious, especially if you roast them. Some people will say, oh, I don't like Brussels sprouts, but they've only ever had them boiled. They're a little bland if you boil them, but if you roast them, it brings out the flavor really nicely. So I'm going to cut that in half. There we go. Now we have all of our Brussels sprouts that we need. Okay. So after this step is completed, you're going to take the shallots that you baked earlier and let them cool down, and you place them on a baking sheet with the cut up Brussels sprouts. Now I have some shallots that I prepared earlier behind me, so let me get those. There you go. And you can see they're in a little packet here. Now, even if you only let them cool for about 15 minutes, there's still going to be steam in there. So be careful when you open this up. I actually cooked these quite a while ago, so they're not as hot. But be careful, steam can burn you, so you don't want to burn yourself. So that's what the shallots look like when they're cooked. They're nice and soft. There's still some of the purple color there, but they're a little more translucent. You can see through them a little bit better. So I'm going to dump these over. There's still some olive oil in there. I'm going to put these into this pan here. Let me get rid of that tin foil. And then I'm going to take these Brussels sprouts and add them in. Okay. So the Brussels sprouts are going to be doing the cooking during this process, right? The shallots are already cooked. You're going to sort of want to mix them around there. And now you're going to take your other tablespoon of olive oil and sprinkle it on here again. So let's do that. And you could take a spoon and sort of mix it around and make sure that the olive oil is all through there. And then we're going to take a little bit more salt. Like I said, A whole tablespoon seems sort of a lot to me, so I just sprinkled some on and called it a day. All right. So now you're going to take these Brussels sprouts and the shallots mixed together. You're going to increase your oven temperature to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you're going to bake these in the oven for maybe about 30 minutes or so. You can add other seasonings that you like, maybe something salt-free like a seasoning blend. But if you use shallots or garlic or onions, those vegetables are all going to add a lot of flavor to these Brussels sprouts, so it doesn't need a whole lot of other seasoning. So, like I said, you're going to want to wait until the Brussels sprouts are tender and lightly browned. You can toss the vegetables once or twice during the cooking process. You're going to want to make sure that all of the surfaces get a little bit of the heat on them. So let me show you some of the Brussels sprouts and shallots that I made earlier. So these are some of the cooked shallots and Brussels sprouts, and they look really delicious. They got nice and brown and caramelized, and I really love to roast vegetables because it brings out their flavor. Now, I hope that this recipe gave you some more ideas on how to incorporate more fruits and vegetables into your diet. If you want to find out more ways that you can save time, save money, and eat healthy, join me for the next edition of What's Cooking with NYSOFA on Friday, November 29th at 12:30 p.m. right here on the New York State Office for the Aging Facebook page and the New York State Office for the Aging YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss any new episodes. In November, I'm going to be making maple glazed turnips with sweet potatoes, which is a delicious side dish for the fall months. This presentation was funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us today. We know the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but small changes can make a big difference. Start today by getting involved with SNAP Ed New York. This program is free for those who qualify or receive SNAP benefits. We want to help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. Learn how SNAP Ed can make a difference in your life. For more information and to find your local program, visit snapedny.org. This material is funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.
Hi, I'm registered dietitian Wendy Beckman, host of What's Cooking with NYSOFA. Over the past 2 years, I've had the opportunity to share healthy, nutritious recipes with you on the show. I work for the New York State Office for the Aging, and thanks to a partnership with SNAP Ed New York, our nutrition team reaches hundreds of thousands of older New Yorkers each year. So why a cooking program? 60% of health costs and related issues have nothing to do with health, but instead have to do with individual behaviors like our food choices and physical activity. The recipes we feature are nutritionally appropriate for older adults, meeting critical nutrition requirements for healthy aging. What I bet you don't know is that this show is only part of a larger effort. To help me explain what our nutrition team at the New York State Office for the Aging does and what a registered dietitian is, here is registered dietitian Lisbeth Irish.
A registered dietitian is a professional who has training and education in food and nutrition. To become an RD, you must complete certain requirements, including a minimum of a bachelor's degree from an institution that's accredited by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. You must also pass a national examination and meet continuing education requirements. What does that mean? As RDs, we are qualified to offer accurate advice about nutrition, and we can help answer your questions about how diet can affect your health. At NYSOFA, the registered dietitians handle many tasks. This includes hosting 2 online programs aimed at helping older New Yorkers make better nutrition choices. These programs are What's Cooking with NYSOFA, which is our monthly cooking demonstration, and a Facebook Live program that I host called Ask the Experts, Nutrition Edition. In the months ahead, be on your lookout for it. We'll be sharing your questions and our experts' answers about nutrition and health. New episodes of Ask the Experts Nutrition Edition debut the second Friday of each month on Facebook and YouTube.
As Lizbeth explained, registered dietitians at NYSOFA handle many tasks, including food safety at congregate meal sites, educational materials, and outreach. In the meantime, please don't miss an episode of either show produced by our team, What's Cooking with NYSOFA and Ask the Experts Nutrition Edition. Every episode is uploaded to YouTube, and you'll find the archived shows there.
Do you have a question about foods? Or do you have a particular health issue that you'd like to improve by changing your diet? Tune in to Ask the Experts Nutrition Edition every second Friday at 1 p.m. We'd love to hear from you.
Remember, registered dietitians are the experts in nutrition. Visit for more sound advice about eating healthy on a budget.